Are we here to talk about GMs fleecing the new GMs? I don't know, maybe. Grumpy wants you to play a game with him, guys. Pull his finger. Moose Powers, thank you for the tier 2 resub. 5 months, sir. We appreciate that. That's a +3 to your account. And I need to circle back with you and get those on. If you read it on Discord, it must be true. That is absolutely 100% correct. All right, gang. I think we are as close to ready as possible.
Let's go while we're young.
Yeah. Let's get her going, shall we?
Welcome. Come in. Fresh victims for my ever-growing army of the undead.
Sir, you have to let go of the button.
Well, son of a bitch.
Good evening. Welcome. It's Thursday night here. No, it's Wednesday night. Hump day. I'm so used to streaming on Thursdays and not Wednesdays that I even threw myself off. It's a day that ends in Y for the very rich Minerva, who just says he doesn't know what day it is, and I kind of feel him right now. It does feel like a Thursday, don't it? But it ain't yet. So we are halfway through your week. Everybody's working for the weekend, so says Loverboy, and so says Kamish. Speaking of, I am the Kamish. My friends will call me LB. Sure, the wife will like to call me a 4-letter word or two for streaming back-to-back nights here, but she knows I'm not streaming tomorrow. Maybe. And Friday. Maybe. But we might be streaming Saturday. I think we should be doing some type of eMLBSportsNet podcast show here once we have protection lists in place so we can truly look at what players are out there available and start playing a little bit of fun. This is just for Minerva. Sorry. Did you get my trade that I just sent in? Gotta get it in. You sound like you are looking for the Pokemon channel where you gotta catch them all, gotta catch them all. Someone needs to play the sax music. There you go. Sax called for, sax received. Jason Cleghorn, meanwhile, will cash in $3 million for them twinsies. While we're talking cash, a friendly reminder that the commissioner's office in approval with the owners, not you guys, we have approved for all teams to have an extension of how much maximum cash they're permitted to carry in their payroll, on their balance sheets. Now up $1 million. $42 million is how much total team cash the teams will be permitted to carry for the 2027 season. That number will continue to trend up in small doses. The new GMs need some protecting after what was done to them in these off-season trades. Sheesh. Are you trying to say something? I thought you did just fine on an announced trade that we did for you. Wade Beers needs a raise and beer money. Yes, he does. And I will circle back with those who have boosts. It's just been just a little busy here getting ready for the drafto. All right, so we are going to do the 4 days live here leading up to free agency. Discord said no. What Discord said no? Bad Discord. No cookie. Beers hit a home run on the CCP Festival. Yes, that has been awesome. Great content. Sincere appreciation to Tim Lowry and all the other CCPs who might have had a hand in making the CCP Festival fun. Really enjoying that. I like seeing, you know, the extra enthusiasm that brings in. So did Foghorn, huh? So Foghorn be coming in and be like,
Now, who's responsible for this unwarranted attack on my person?
we aren't doing attacks on your person, Jason. You're fine. You're good.
Hey, that's a joke, son.
It was? Okay. All right. Let's get back to the show.
Adios, you chicken-plucking little stinker!
Hey, we're back. All right. Had to have a little bit of side fun on that because it's been a long day of eMLB work on top of doing a regular job, on top of daddying and all that good stuff, on top of hubbying, you know. All right. Let's get day number 1 done here, and then we will start to look at trades that have been approved. Right. We'll see if we have any fun stuff starting to take place. You know what I did not do yet, which we'll do together? We'll look at the waiver wire, because if any expansion team, Montreal, Portland, if any expansion team has gone and done a waiver claim, the player's just going to sit there and continue to stay at 0 days, but it's going to continue to let me go through because OOTP is like, huh? So we have to manually move the player over. But let's look first on extensions. By the way, Matt Crook had signed a 3-year extension to end our last sim this morning. As a first thing. And several deals had been approved earlier in the day, which we can talk about some of those. Let's do that super quick. Let's look at transactions that have taken place here in the most recent shot. We'll start with the one since Steve said he was getting fleeced. Well, let's look at this one more carefully. Dexter Morgan, gone. Dexter has murdered his way out of Detroit, found a new home to hide and act under an alias as a baseball player, and we'll go over to the Cleveland Indians. Jay Kuhn is a community credit player. Jay Kuhn is often deployed and overseas, so I keep trying to check in with him, but he may not know that this trade has happened yet. So Dexter finds himself on the way to Cleveland. Meanwhile, Detroit will acquire a bevy of different players, each one having a little bit of potential. Tegan Kearley looks like a capable player here, rookie league player, has good defense, a fast player. Not going to be the best offensive-minded player, but those are things that can still develop. At least will be a good line drive hitter. And I think in a park like Detroit, that probably works well, because Comerica, of course, is fairly deep. Remember, Comerica is changing real life, but Comerica is still in the traditional dimensions that you know, minus a couple of tweaks that Mark made in right field, which, of course, you can see in your copy of the file. Farmer Avendroth is very likely going to get an opportunity to showcase what he can do in the starting rotation. He may still be more of a long midterm reliever. Hard to say if he'll do it. Don't even know if he'll be ready, but I have to think he'll get a look at spring training, probably also in Winter League come this season. Tim Wright looks like a guy who can hit the ball, but the only thing about Tim Wright is don't count on him as any form of defense. I would say this guy needs to continue to develop the bat to have a bit of a playing career as a DH. Other than that, I think he can be very replaceable because he's not going to be able to provide much on the defensive side. You were so impressed with your new team until you realized the scouting was sent to... You were looking at comparisons from A+. I didn't realize anyone would even dare do that. Finally, Roger Fields. He's a 1.0 name. Yeah, I had to remind myself. I said, it sounds right. His defense ain't right. Tell me about it. Speaking of things not being right, Fields, a starting pitcher? Probably not. Probably more likely to be a reliever in this particular instance. He can throw hard. He'll probably be able to strike out a fair share with that upper 90s fastball. Probably more likely to see Fields have some form of a career. I don't know how regular of a starter he could be, but at least he has a couple purposes. He throws hard. He can keep the ball on the ground. I think he'll be able to go enough to be a competent player that we'll see. So those parts go over Dexter. Well, Dexter always has the potential to be better than what you've seen. He was a .291 hitter in his rookie year. Never known for power, yet no more for his defense, no more for his ability to steal, but just never given that opportunity because Detroit has not been a running type of team under previous management. We'll see how Steve Hunter decides to do things with his Detroit squad as he gets them familiar, but that's a different story. Now, with Dexter being part of Sadier's squad, you've got to think he's going to be given a little bit more of an opportunity to let loose the hounds, I think is the proper term. Again, Morgan is a former Gold Glover. Far better offensively than he showed this past season. I think we'll see a better year for Dexter Morgan. Probably just the change of scenery was most important. We've got our first commercial break coming up here. We'll continue the hot stove talk in a moment. You are watching the Fluffy Kitty Ninja Show. It is leading up to free agency 2027 and the 2027 draft. We will be right back. Expansion 2027 is almost upon us, gang, as we come back live here for our hot stove talk. Kamish LB back here with you as we are advancing days. We are also looking around the league to see recent trades that have taken place. These are trades that we're looking at that were done at the end of the morning sim that were approved. Let's look at another one. Interesting move here. Dodgers will work with Detroit again as Detroit gets their second trade. They will bring in 5 different players, but they'll give up a bit of talent. We'll start it with the Gold Glove winning Byron Buxton, who also mashed 33 home runs this year, all while doing it at a $2.8 million price tag. That in itself is a pretty good value, but then you add the man that was simply nicknamed the Maniac by Chris Holland himself. Felix Matthews back under control of Chris Holland in the second reiteration of eMLB. That is the 2.0 universe that you guys so knowingly love. Matthews, far better than what he showed this past season, hitting just 152, spending most of his time in AAA, but in prior seasons so far, looking at his major league career, 278 hitter with 20 home runs, 86 runs batted in what you could say is enough time for a major league career. So if he's a 20 home run hitter while hitting 270, 280, and he has the type of defensive prowess that he has, as well as some speed, he hasn't been used for it, but he has some speed, then Matthews is a heck of a player. Now, what do the Tigers get in return? They got some good pieces, starting with Alex Steele, another name from the 1.0 universe. Now, Alex always was more of a role model type of player, And from our vantage point, he can probably be about the same, maybe a little bit more. A bit of that prototypical center fielder, has some speed, not enough to be top shelf, a good defender. He'll be able to get on base. He'll be able to be a producer. But I don't know if I would call him more of a leadoff guy than more of a bottom third of the lineup guy. And I don't even know if whether or not he's the best guy to consider as a regular starter. Now, he's still young. He's 26. He'll turn 27 before the season begins. And he's got plenty of opportunity to show what he can do. He did hit almost 300 in AAA this past year with 8 homers and 47 runs batted in. If he can translate at the major league level, that's a respectable role player. Not going to be your star, probably not an all-star, but a respectable player. So that might be, the one player that you say of these guys is likely, but again, more of a serviceable way. Mike Byers, to me, is probably the best acquisition on this. Not overly dominant. He's not the second coming of Keibert Ruiz, despite the fact that he's got is a switch hitter, but he is a capable defender. He's got some offensive talent. He's got some pop, which could benefit in Comerica Park, and he's got a pretty good eye that we understand he's going to continue to develop. So if Byers can duplicate what he did at Ogden and rookie ball when he hit north of 300, I think you've got a pretty solid player, but is still a guy that obviously needs seasoning. I don't even know if we're talking into 2028 or maybe even a little longer than that, but at some point in time, I feel like it's a definite that Mike Byers, barring any form of injury or terrible setback, will be a major leaguer, and I think he'll probably be the best part of that acquisition for the Tigers. Jorge Cardenas looks like a guy who could have a shot to show what he can do here, either in both Winter League as well as in spring training. And I think he's got an ability to possibly be at minimum a number 4 type of pitcher for this squad. Now, a plus for him, he's pretty good on the pitches he's got. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to possibly consider off-season training to add a pitch for him, which may just further improve. I think if he gets a 4th pitch, his ceiling could be just a little bit higher than where it is currently. It's just a matter of whether or not the Tigers want to use what limited arsenals you have on off-season training and be able to work on improving Cardenas himself. But I think he's a good pickup as well. Scar Barlow, 18 years old. Scoots Magoots. I love the nickname that he has. He's a real-life player. Probably another one of those guys that if he works on his pitches, he could be a serviceable reliever far more than a starter, especially with the stamina that he has. So I think he's improperly rated here or improperly positioned as a starter on this. But again, that doesn't have a real say on things. Josue Espada was always a name I liked from the 1.0 universe. The Puerto Rican brings that typical speed and defense passion that he has. He's a good, solid middle infielder. He's going to be a capable runner when he's on base. He's just not going to be a stellar hitter. He's a definite bottom of the order type of guy. It's his defense that's going to help really translate his value, but his offense could be there. It's just average to slightly below average at best. Well, I appreciate that, Tim. I try my best. And I also have, with some of these names, I have a lot of experience with them, so that helps me in that instance as well, too. All right, real quick, we'll look at this minor trade between Chicago and Kansas City. Royals will take a chance on the last number 1 draft pick before you guys started making the decisions. That's Steve Horsmeyer. Horsmeyer, another one of those guys who's got phenomenal speed. He's got incredible defensive talent. He could be a Gold Glover if given the right opportunity. Just he's never translated his offense to being anything on what a number 1 should be expected. It's maybe fair to call him a bust at this point in his career. Again, from a major league perspective, he's played not even 1 full season in the majors. He's 5 service days short of having 1 full year in the majors, but hitting a career .211 with 17 homers and 52 runs batted in. Even if I can't pronounce half of them, I think I do pretty good. I knew Josue Espada. Did you? No room for more Gold Glove outfield in Chicago with a grimacing face, so that's why the Horse Whisperer, we call him not the Horse Whisperer, we call him the Horst Whisperer, Steve Orsmeyer. He'll be traded in exchange for Adam Hill. Adam showed that he did pretty good as a reliever this season, so you got to think that that will improve for the bullpen depth. Could he be a starter? Possibly. I just don't know how dominant, and he hasn't been used in that role. And in pitching this season, 15 1/3 innings of work. He did have a little bit of control issues, so I don't know if you want to put him in that spot or if he's better to just go in inning plus stints. Adam Hill, part of that deal. The deal I never thought would come. Yep, he's in Baltimore now. Leroy, who actually had a pretty good season in his platoon role this year, .265 average with 10 home runs in just 181 at-bats. That projects to still being a 30 home run hitter in a regular season, gang. That's a pretty good hitter still, but predominantly against the lefties. Now, he is a community credit player of Respawn, and I love Respawn, but Respawn don't give 2 craps about eMLB as far as I can tell. I think he's maybe been to the channel for all of 5 minutes. The reason he has a player, I was asked, I did it as a courtesy before 1.0 was made it. He was a CCP, and his ratings were based on that, on how that player was translating in the eMLB on the show universe. So I occasionally let him know, yeah, I told Respawn, yeah, your guy won Rookie of the Year, and he's like, cool. Is what it is, gang. You can't save them all, Hasselhoff, and not everybody gives a hoot. But it is what it is. Leroy has been traded to Baltimore, where Baltimore is apparently trying to field 9 different first basemen at all the various positions out there. Newsflash for Brendan, you can't have a center fielder or a first baseman for a center fielder. You could, but I don't advise it. You get the idea. In exchange, Horton here's a who? Well, Horton heads to San Diego in this instance. Alex Horton, another name almost like Alex Steele. Alex Horton, kind of a similar type of mold. Got some speed, not top tier. Gonna be able to hit for average. Not gonna be lights out on the offense. And a solid fielder wherever you put him in the outfield. He'll be above average as a center fielder, but probably better as a corner outfielder. Due to the arm, though, I'd probably be more likely to have him be on the left side of the diamond to be more beneficial. But still, Horton is the kind of guy that in the right situation, probably a regular starter. But in an ideal situation, maybe San Diego's plan, 4th outfielder who gets a fair amount of at-bats because his defense and his speed will definitely dictate. And because he's going to be a difficult at-bat, he is stingy on being struck out. This is the kind of guy you can probably put in that contact role in front of a Tatis, in front of an Asher Kim, behind a Unikim perhaps. Maybe. We'll see how Steve plans to use him, but I can see Alex Horton easily still having a career. He's only 23. He can still be further developed if you really want to invest in him. And Horton's got plenty of time and control. So we barely see what Horton can do, and I think he will. Alex is no Tim Horton. I love it. All right. And Juan Huaman, won't say much about him. A third baseman who's got excellent hands. He's got excellent arm. Not so good on the feet. The footwork makes it a challenge for him. It dictates whether you try to play him in the outfield, whether you play him at third base, whether you run him on the base paths. Human just doesn't have the legs in this situation to be a long-term. So is a guy who's considered to have slightly above average power, a guy you put in a DH role? I don't know. He's a human. Yeah, what can you say about Human? He's a human. Yes, you can. All right. Let's see. Couple more deals that we did today before we'll advance the day, and then we'll start looking at the trades that will be approved or have been announced as approved this evening. We had the Angels and the Dodgers. This is the second time they've done a trade in their times together. We had Luis Ramos. We joked again, what is doing 49 home runs get you traded because you didn't get 50. We kind of talked about that deal yesterday, didn't we? Yeah, we did. All right. You know what? Let me go here. It's the trades that were on the 24th, so we just talked on the 3 trades that did get approved in that particular instance. All right. So with that, let's do a I'm going to do it this way. We're going to advance one more day. Remember, we're going to the 28th. Remember the current schedule. Let me bring that up. Got to bring it over here. Sorry, I should have better set that up, but let's go look at it now. Here's your plan. Here is the schedule that has been taking place. We are again on Wednesday, the 8 o'clock. We are officially advancing to the 28th. This is where we are right now. Friday, 7 o'clock, I will sim to the 29th. And on up to that sim, you have until basically 15 minutes before to upload your protection lists so that we will officially know what the expansion draft is. Well, hello, look who has come to visit. None of you can see yet because she was hidden, but now she can be seen. It's on this side that they can see you. So I wonder whose hand that could be. No idea. It's not mine. I've got these right here, so... Sorry.
A little bitty spider picking up the water spout. Down came the rain and watched the spider out.
Oh, yay. A couple defensemen have scored for the Bruins since Charlie McAvoy, Derek Forbert, giving the Bees a 2-1 lead over the Islander. Hello, Kokamish. By good, you mean unproductive, and it's Juan Lamas' big fan. Yes.
Say llama in chat if you love llamas.
Say llama in chat if you love llamas. That is what Kokamish requests.
I got stabbed by a pencil.
Meanwhile, we will look to see if any news to report here on the 26th.
Llama in chat, llama.
We've got a lot of arbitration, I'm sure, coming on the horizon
llama,
here.
Llama in chat. Drama llama.
Today is the day that the arbitration is being decided. So those should be answered here on the next advancing day from what I see. Yep, they'll be held today. So we'll have the results on that in a moment. We can take a peek on that.
Oh, okay. Okay, bye.
Oh, are you saying bye? Can you not putting your hands right in people's faces, please?
Llama!
See how well I'm listening to? Waiver wire. We did not look at the waiver wire yet. There's only one player that I can see. Do I have everything properly set? I do. It's Antoine Duplantis from the Red Sox. Looks like he is a 40-man roster casualty here at this moment. But there is no other seen players on waivers that I can see. If I can see. Jeez. This is what I gotta work with, gang. No, correction. We have 3 players here. Let me look. Castagnosi. Nope, no claiming. We have... Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye? Bye?
I know you were having fun.
Having fun, but being a pest. All right. Cleared waivers does not say. Seems fine. And one more player. Sorry, wrong button. One more player. Cincinnati Reds. Reds. Might have been claimed. Yep, right here. Claimed by Montreal. Irrevocable. So Jose Israel Garcia has officially been claimed. But the problem is, it's not the 28th yet. So we're not officially in 2027 yet. And the game is going, huh? It doesn't know what to do with a player like this. So it's one of those that I have to kind of do this manually. So here, one sec, because I have to go behind the curtain and there's things that I don't want you guys seeing. Expos with their first starter. What's Evan White? Sliced bread. I'm just under the impression Evan White has also been signed to a one-year extension. And there you go, as I will come back live now as I've gotten things adjusted. I had to go behind the curtain into places sensitive information, not for you to see, otherwise I'd have to nuke the channel. So Jose Israel Garcia is officially a part of the Montreal Expos, and to make sure that there is no further complication, we will add Garcia to the 40-man roster automatically. So there you go, 3 players: Jojo Burker, Evan White, who just signed a one-year extension for $8.4 million. And now a second baseman, the right side, or excuse me, Garcia is a shortstop. My apologies. Garcia hit 227 with 3 homers and 18 RBIs. Yeah, you know, I added the background just for the Expos, and I didn't know what it was going to do. Now I know. So, it's all right. It's a little bright. Right! Is Taco here? Aiden, thanks for the gift over to Taco Existential. So that's my first question. Is Taco here?
Evil does not wear a bonnet.
And right on cue, here's Braden says, here's why you're wrong, Aiden, as he will do a tier 2 sub over to Barry Basher. You're trying to lure him out of the depths. Okay. All right. That makes more sense because Taco, if he's ever here, lurks. You don't even know that he's here. That I know. He's like, I want to stay in the background. But Taco, love his show. He says he's a fake radio show. If you've never seen Taco Existential, I highly recommend. If you like that type of content, then even though he's not here, let me acknowledge Taco Existential. And feel free to give him a follow. Brandon, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Where did that one land? Landed on the Barry Basher. Barry doesn't have a player and don't know if Barry wants a player. But yes, Taco is very good, people. You know what? That's a darn good question. And file that under stuff that I had not really noticed. Where are you seeing this? Where is the negative? Accounting? Is this where the cash came out? Look at the bottom of 26. See it? See the negative balance. Can I edit that? I don't see that I can. Imagine an owner giving you money. Yes. Don't have an answer for it. Ho! To your TIE fighters! To your TIE fighters, it's Yuka and her clan coming in. Hi, Yuka. Thank you for the raid. Welcome. It is off-season hot stove talk here in eMLB as we're advancing the sim to the free agency period to officially start the 2027 season, which means on Sunday morning, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, coffee with the commish. We will watch these Montreal Expos as well as the Portland Stags officially do their expansion drafts so that they will be able to start fielding teams for the 2027 season. Again, we are expanding to 32 teams. We will have 4 divisions with 8 teams in each division. We're getting a bit more old school in our format. Really looking forward to it. 21 million season ticket revenue for a team that didn't exist. I don't know how this crap comes up, gang. Blame the system. Had to make the team somehow. Good fan loyalty, indeed, indeed. But meanwhile, the Stags, same problem. But the cash, is the cash correct? Correct? Yeah, that's the problem. They don't know how to create it, so it's a mess, is all it is. So, we're trying to work with it as best as we can. Bottom line, on the rollover when we're on the 27th, we're starting the teams at 200 million. So if the game tries to change it, screw you, OOTP. We're putting you back right where you belong. 200 million team budget, 25 million team cash, and the fan and interest and market size will be 5. You know what? I meant to... let's see. There's the Streamlabs spin wheel. Do I have that? Have I ever used it? Of course I have not used it. I'm looking for it. There's the spin wheel. No, I don't want a tutorial on it. Do I know what to do with it? I don't. You know what? The owner Wheel of Doom will go on our next stream because that'll officially be when we're in free agency, and that's officially when the expansion will begin. It's a mess. It's running as best as I can, which is never going to be the right way since this is not my regular job, and it will probably never be, which is good and bad at the same time. All right, so we did not have any extensions. Jose Israel Garcia officially is an Expo now. And cover your eyes, gang, because the damn thing's going to do it again. Phew. It did not do it. If not known, Gianfran Escalona. So, first things first, pardon for the confusion. Someone gifted a tier 3, but wanted to remain anonymous. Meanwhile, Brendan gifted a tier 2, and I've got a commercial coming up here, so I don't want to use any of the snoozes. Let me take a quick pause. We'll return. Love Kitty Ninjas will be right back. Please don't go anywhere. Back live with our Hot Stove edition of Fluffy Kitty Ninjas and the eMLB universe. The off season is hot and heavy. We are 2 days away from free agency and 3 days away from our first ever eMLB expansion draft, which will take place on Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, provided that is still good for Attica Online and GT Sundown. Everyone else, it's optional if they want to attend, but in this instance, we absolutely want to have Attica and GT Sundown. So, On to talking about some of the trades that have been announced, and let's start off with Baltimore. Shervin Newton, well, if you were reading the tea leaves, you saw that Nick Spence signed one of the largest, if not the largest, contract extension this offseason, $330 million for a 10-year deal. Congratulations to the Orioles on that. You also saw them go and pick up Nasim Nunez, the defensive dynamo from Pittsburgh, coming in and probably will help provide a little bit of defense, something Newton really lacked. And then, speaking of that defense, you add the fourth consecutive Gold Glove for Buster Bluth. You had to think that Newton and his days were numbered, so here he is, a fair deal. Get a couple $1,000,000 for a guy that you really don't have room for, and you send Newton off. I don't want to click on the player because it will show proprietary information for Baltimore. But Newton, as said in the Discord, why don't I just pull that up instead? There we go. We'll pull it up this way so that you can see. As we said, it's a straightforward player for cash deal. You had to think that this was likely. Newton's a career 245 hitter with 75 home runs, 245 RBI, and he did have his second best OPS and OPS plus this season, but because of his defense or lack thereof, he actually had his worst full season of WAR since his rookie season. So Phillies get a capable offensive player, can take a low risk on him, probably use him maybe a bit more in a DH role, but could also be working on his defense as well. That's always a possibility. Cash considerations will be the team's starting center fielder. You heard it here first. And he does wear a Baltimore jersey along with that big honking cross that he likes to wear. I remember the days when we had the same budget as Baltimore. Here we go. All right, so that deal has been approved and has been done. Next deal we'll look at was a minor deal done between the White Sox and the Indians. Jorge Pardo will be traded in exchange for Frank Hancock. I found this one a little peculiar. In this instance, I'm going to give the plus to the White Sox here as they get a 24-year-old player who this past year played at 3 different levels. He was 4-1 with a 2.94 ERA and 8 starts at AA rating. Not going to necessarily be a strikeout pitcher, but I can see Hancock having a fairly decent career. And if he stays into the process that he's going, you got to think a major league debut is very likely in 2027. Yes, please get Don Pardo out of my head. Meanwhile, Jorge Pardo, (16 years old, one of the younger players to be discovered internationally here and immediately being traded away. I do find this trade to be peculiar. And again, maybe from Sadier's point of view, maybe Sadier says with all of the talent he has brought in to make a run, he doesn't even see Hancock in a starter role, let alone a reliever role possibly right now. So get what you can. Maybe punt a future starter further down the road. Because again, you're getting a 16-year-old prospect here at this particular instance. Probably a good time to consider making that move. Trade just got approved. So we'll go look at another deal here. And that deal, I kept thinking as the season was going on, that this deal was more and more likely of happening. Judge Dozier, the Spokane, Washington native, going home to play in Seattle, and in 2 seasons' time, he gets 17 total home runs, and he hits in the low, either high 210s or low 220s, was what he did over that time. I'm peeking for a sec. Again, I'm trying not to look inside of players so that ratings of scouts from teams are compromised, because the only way I can see these trades is pretending to act as the GM. So 222 hitter with 17 homers and 77 runs batted in over 748 at-bats. Not the kind of future that the judge thought he'd have. Again, this was a guy who had, I believe, 482 career home runs back in the 1.0 era. So he definitely was a solid talent. Now, Marco Luciano has proven himself, and after 3 tries of being looking like a bust, Luciano finally broke out more as a second baseman than as a shortstop. Asher Kim, wonder why. And Luciano had 18 home runs while hitting .271 with 68 RBI. So Mariners think that's their shortstop that they need. Definitely seems like a step up from Junior San Quentin, who played for most of this past season. And probably from the Mariners' standpoint, it's worth the 2 prospects, which are fairly high-end prospects. These were in their top 11. Zambrano was their 9th overall prospect in the organization, and Filiberto Bocci is your 11th best prospect in the system, besides the fact of the really cool name, Filiberto Bocci. But they're not losing terribly. They're trading 2 prospects away with an underperforming Dozier. Maybe now just a flat-out overhyped Dozier. I think that's fair to say at this point. 30 home runs in his career in 4 seasons. Yeah, you're overhyped. You're not hitting 481 or 482 career this go-around unless you have a massive burst. Don't see it yet. But Luciano has been proven. Talbot Beaumont. Beaumont is a pretty capable pitcher from what we have seen. He is 19 years old, so he still has plenty of time to work and develop. And if he trends as expected, he's also likely to see the majors too for Seattle, but not probably for the foreseeable 2 to 3 seasons from now. Tall righty, 6'7", but definitely has the ability, from what we can see here early on so far, to be a player that makes it. So we'll approve that deal because it's already been approved. Let's go look at our next deal that has been approved today. Arizona and the Cincinnati Reds have struck a deal where Trevor Bauer will be acquired by the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for 4 different players. Also going in the deal is Cletus Pike, who played an A-plus ball this past year. Pike is a Canadian, very light-hitting center fielder, will not hit for power at all. More of a slash type hitter than a hit a long ball type of hitter. You know, it's still bothering me. I'm excited and thrilled that someone gifted a tier 3 sub earlier, but that they remained anonymous. It blocks me from being able to award anybody, and someone's going to say, hey, you know, I'll have 5 people say, yeah, it was me. Brendan, thank you again for the tier 2 sub over to Jared Starks. That was almost immediately with that tier 3 anonymous gift. So, what does trading Trevor Bauer? Bauer, of course, 166 career wins, 2,513 strikeouts to be exact at this point. He has 1 more year on his deal, has a player option. Very likely he might take the option if he continues to perform at the level that he does. But again, that's assumptive here at this point. We'll see what he decides a year from now, a season from now, we'll say. So what do the Diamondbacks get? Well, they get Alan Brocale, who played pretty well. He hit mid-280s. He had mid-20 home runs. He had mid-70 RBIs. And a guy that plays adequate. Not stellar, but adequate defense. Good doubles hitter. He doesn't project as being superior at anything except for the ability to put the ball in the gaps. He's an okay third baseman. He's not going to be stellar. He is an all right, a better first baseman most likely for the way that he plays. Brocale's a pretty good acquisition. Jaden Agassi may be the most interesting acquisition of these two. The Las Vegas Nevadan was a 14th round draft pick back in 2020. 3-pitch pitcher, but also has the ability. He's known for his power. Jaden Agassi could be a competent two-way player. Let's be honest, more of a Brendan two-way McKay than a Shohei Ohtani. But still, having that ability is a big plus. So I agree. Jaden Agassi could be the big sleeper pick here for the Diamondbacks if he can pan out as hoped for. The other two parts of the deal, Justin Henry Malloy, probably a overall infielder, gives you some plus speed, a little bit of pop, but probably not going to be a top-end talent, probably not a regular. Curtis Washington's probably going to fit in a super utility type. Again, his speed gives him a big plus, so I would think that Washington probably has a role as a utility type player in the future. So there's the deal as it was seen prior. And it is approved. What next? Here's the next deal that was approved. Arizona again in another deal, this time with Tampa. Community-created player Adrian Danini from Fredericksburg, Virginia, has been acquired along with cash by the Rays in exchange for Tommy Combs Jr. and Jamie Wright. Wright, interesting selection. I don't see him making the major leagues, to be very honest with you, at least from what he's shown so far. That could change. It's super early in the 19-year-old's career. But the Laconia, New Hampshire native definitely has to show far better than hitting a 129 average in 255 at-bats at rookie ball. Rookie ball. That's a scary thought, period. But Danini, I see what you say, Tim. In this case, Adrian Danini is somebody I haven't heard from in almost 2 years now. He probably is what he is. Probably will not develop further. So from your vantage point, even though you're trading a CCP, it's a bit more of a low risk. And you've got to think that in this instance, it's a catcher. You've got owned by a team with a GM who has his primary CCP as a catcher. So Danini comes in as defensive value. Definitely to give Aiden Pearson's virtual player a rest. I could see Pearson being a DH while Danini catches. Danini is a very capable defensive catcher. He showed he's got some good offense too. He hit 298 in his rookie season. He dropped off this year. But he's shown the ability to be a respectable hitter. Nowhere near the talent level of what we know Aiden Pearson's capable of. But a serviceable player. Of these two, Tommy Combs is probably the better acquisition of the two, and it's a low risk for both sides. Danini is most likely serving as a backup. if an injury ever happens to Pearson, you've got a guy who shows that he can deal for the long haul. And you've got a lot of control on Danini. He's only in 2 years, so he's at league minimum. Combs Jr. probably is capable of being a utility type of player. I mean, he hit mid-250s in Double-A. He has a little bit of bop. It's just a question of whether or not he can hit for average in the majors. I'd say with Combs being a switch hitter, it improves his value. And can he steal the amount of bases that he has done before? He sold 22 of 32 this past season. So that deal itself will be approved. And we'll do one more deal. I think we'll do one more deal. Here's the only other deal that I don't think I have announced officially yet. Oh, wrong button. Arizona one more time, this time with Kansas City as their dance partner. Geraldo Perdomo, who was part of the World Championship team of 2023 when the Diamondbacks won the World Series then. Perdomo, the 27-year-old, who spent most of his time in Triple-A Reno this past year. That was a little confusing for me. Again, can't pick on Tim. It was more Aaron's decision. Perdomo hit 271 in 446 at-bats. Doesn't have the biggest amount of power. Not known for speed, but when you steal 13 out of 14, you're pretty smart about your decisions on when you go. So we'll give that to him. J.J. Norris, bit of a similar mold as Perdomo, just 8 years younger. Maybe a little less quick, maybe a bit more defensively capable, but an athletic prospect that could probably play both infield and outfield. Norris should be versatile for the Royals as they choose to use him. For the Diamondbacks, they will acquire Pete Crow Armstrong. Armstrong is 24. Played just long enough, thanks to the video from Trevor Mays. We learned that when you get 42 service days, you get a share of 1/40th of your pension added. That's why everybody wants to get 10 years in so they get their full pension. So in the case of Crow Armstrong, he officially got his first share of his 1/40th of his eMLB pension last season with the Rays. Not the best defensive player, but he is a good offensive hitter. He has some stealing. He showed that. He stole 17 out of 25 back in the minors in 2025. So there's the potential there. This is a serviceable player that could benefit from that. Yes, look at all the DMs that I get. Yeah, I watched that video because I like Trevor. And I was curious what perks I did and didn't know about. And I'll tell you, if Major League Baseball is fully matching 401k, that is like sick, yo. And again, but to those guys, that's nothing. But for us common folk, if you're putting in this year, people can put in $22,500. And if $22,500 is what Major League Baseball will also match, I'd take that. For most guys in the major leagues, that's important. Think about your future. And the pension. Yes, so that's why I jokingly mentioned Pete Crow Armstrong, because Armstrong had just enough service time with the Royals that it hit right with what Trevor Mays said in that video. It's just like the Federal Reserve, but more chicks with the majors. Well, we can always rely on Tim Lowry for that comparison. Cody Hosey, we saw briefly. We got to see him in one national broadcast. He also got enough for 1/40th of a pension share. You got 39 more shares to get to be fully vested, Cody, and frankly, I don't think Cody Hosey is long for that. A little bit of a gamble. He's a $1.5 million signing. He'll stay at his price tag. Again, the biggest issue with Hosey is age, but he's got above average power. He should be a good hitter. And 1+, he's a confident first baseman. Reminds me a lot of former Arizona Diamondback Pavin Smith. But I don't see Hosey stealing a lot of at-bats in Arizona at this point. Doesn't hurt to have the depth. So there's that deal. So how many CCPs here are thinking about their futures and having the team's 401k match? I know, right? Too funny. All right. So let's go and do this. Let's look at advancing to the day before free agency officially begins. Let's see if we have any last chance extensiones. Well, Adrian Hernandez clears waivers. He'll go to AAA Rochester. We'll see if anybody else. Pittsburgh. Castagnozzi should be able to go to AAA. No. Well, he needs a major league contract. How did you get him? Was it waivers? Oh, he was traded. That's right. Okay, so first things first. Got to put him... Right? Yeah, it said salary. Yep. He's salary, so he needs to be on the 40. Now we'll assign him to AAA. There we go. All right, now I think we're good. And those are the usual tumbling muffins I have to deal with. You wish they were still paying the non-uniform personnel pension. They're not? You don't get a you're not getting a pension, JR? You and I have okay, I was going to say, you and I have never talked about the benefit side of your career, which I've always been like, curious. They stopped growing it a couple of years ago, probably because they put more emphasis on the deferred comp plan, which is the 401k. All right, so let's see. Do we have anything further? All right, so let's look. You vested at 10 years. Congratulations, sir. And you've got twice that time so far. We've got a lot of arbitration to talk about here. We don't have an awful lot of time. You know what? I'm going to give myself a little extra time. We'll then go into a break, and then we'll look at some more trades. We're going to do some of those trades on the fly. Yeah, we have some trades left that have not been done. Let's look and see what has happened. Let's see what moves people made that we find interesting. For the Orioles, you see which players have been offered extensions. Will Smith, after having 20 home runs last season, will earn $11.25 million. Don't know if Brendan likes that or not. I don't know if he won that deal, because this doesn't tell you if you win or lost. So feel free, if you're here, feel free to tell me if you won on specific people or lost. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not surprised that the Reds will do a 401k match, because, of course, they get to deduct them. For the Red Sox, they decline on Nick Decker. He becomes a free agent. Pablo Lopez did reject the qualifying offer, so keep this in mind. If you make offers on Lopez, you are at risk of losing draft picks or a pick for a player who rejects a qualifying offer. Meanwhile, Pepe Clark, 6.825. Hernandez, 4.68. Mike Bohr, 2.3. Hunter Fiducia, a former Rule 5 pick, will go to free agency. Oh, crap. Don't you threaten me with a bad time. My wife just said Patrice Bergeron looks like he took a puck to the face. Not good. For the Yankees, Rod Metzler at $800,000. Are you kidding me? No, Rod Metzler played like crap when he came over to New York, but he still hit 31 home runs. That's important. Let's see. So, Jonathan India, no real stick-out name here. For the Rays, you have Jelfry Marte making $11.55 million, Drew Mendoza up to $4.2, and Efren Contreras. I think that's a pretty good bargain for a guy who won 12 wins that he's only making $1 million. Wildred Pertino will become a free agent. Toronto has agreed to $5.5 million for Jordan Cage. We still understand both sides are looking to talk as soon as Cage is officially eligible to talk about contract extensions. White Sox, Ali Sanchez around $2 million. Jalen Beeks and Evan Krasinski will be heading to free agency as they were declined offers. Again, I'm curious to see which moves are made, which are not. Indians will keep Connor Scott, Hunter Brolt, Levi Usher, Zach Gallen. Gallen making the most on that at $1.875 million. Rumors Cage is a big fan of Toronto and the rebuilding efforts. That's good to know. Gallen got more than expected, about $500,000. So 1.875 for a guy that gave it, well, pay the man. Zach Gallen is 0.9 more. And he's being paid like he produces at a 0.2 WAR. Pay the man, I say. So that's a fair deal. Sometimes losing is still winning. Yeah, he is worth it. 100% with what he has been producing. Levon Soto, Griffin Canning, Dustin May, Alec Manoah, and Tariq Skubal. Royals was the most interesting. Good on Minerva, which I knew he wasn't going to do. He was not going to take a $15 million arbitration deal with Christian Pache. Pache is far from the Rookie of the Year candidate he was back in his Atlanta days. He hit .219 with 6 home runs. Yep, Pache, absolute free agent. Don't know how long of a career he will possibly have. Again, maybe a re-rate candidate. Here's one I do like. Heliot Ramos. Great story. This is what you need when you're Kansas City. You need to find bargains. You need to find basement deals. You find a guy who hit .230 with 5 home runs in the prior season, and he has a .462 slugging percentage. When you look at Ramos, he had a .756 OPS, a 1.2 WAR, 21 home runs. He's not stellar, but for $2.15 million, boom. That is the type of talent you need to have in a situation like that. Petey Halpin, of course, as well, who we know is a favorite there. Enyo de los Santos, Pache, Jones, and Aaron Savali will find themselves heading to free agency. Meanwhile, Minnesota, Jason Cleghorn, stingy with that money. Thomas Hackemer, out! Andrew Vasquez, be gone! Jorge Valera? Wow! You said no to Jorge. Well, it's George Valera technically, but it's the same guy who hit 20 home runs back in 2025. He's a little bit all over the place here this past season. He definitely did not produce at the level that he did in 25. Remember the story for those who've been around here long enough. It was George Valera coming up and playing so well that it made Jinfeng Chen, the Taiwan Bomb, very expendable, and he was gone pretty quickly. You can have Valera back if you really want to dare. He's a free agent now. I don't know what Valera was looking for. I did not look, so maybe that's part of it. But Jason very cautious on who he decided to keep. Just Joe Germer is sticking around, and I think Germer at $1.625 million is a bargain from the production he's done. 2 minutes till commercial. Couple more teams we'll look at. Brian Perez, 1-year deal. Ryan Helsley, 1-year deal. Louis Rengifo and Brandon Marsh are not extended. Marsh, well, again, a guy who hit .284 with 25 home runs the prior year, fell on hard times. Marsh still, I think, has plenty in the tank. Just didn't show it this season. Francis Martes, who was attempted to be extended when you already used all of your extensions, Tom. Well, that's your punishment, because you were going to lock him down for in the mid 1 millions. Instead, you're paying the man $2.75 million, because that is where the arbitrator went with him. All right, we'll quickly look at Oakland, and then we will move on. John Sneed, Sixto Sanchez, Jeremy Ironman, Wade Beasley, AJ Lavas, and Jameson Hanna have all signed extensions. Noah Campbell and Brandon Waddell will become free agents. We will look at the next, the continuing of the arbitration cases here in a moment. It is commercial break time. You're watching Hot Stove eMLB Talk. We are 1 day away from free agency, 7 days away from the eMLB expansion draft. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Back live, it is the 2026 official end of season wrap up here as we get ready to enter in a new season of 2027. Let's continue to look at the arbitration cases here before we start looking at the next set of trades. On to Seattle we go. Several different selections. Everybody is sticking around. No one sent to free agency. Reggie Allen, Junior San Quentin getting the biggest winnings of $4.4 million there. Everybody being kept. Any surprises? No, not really. Not really for surprises with regards to Seattle. Texas. Hans Kraus. Only making about $3 million? That seems like a bargain. Can that buy in enough Oktoberfest for him? He's not even German. I just like doing it. Cole Winn, though, will get a nice reward. $6.5 million. I don't know if Jamie wanted to keep Anthony Kay at $15.6 million, but Kay decides, you know what? 12-12, 5.32 ERA, signing on the dotted line. Kay, $15.6 million on the qualifying offer, will stay as a Ranger. That's one that if you take the gamble and try to grab the bull by the horns, the bull may get you. In this instance, Kay says, nah, I'll stay. Now, how about, here's a real offering. C.J. Abrams. $23 million. Is that what getting 3 consecutive stolen bases, which, by the way, if you haven't seen, and I haven't been very vocal on announcing just because I've been so dang busy, I have created a custom award that this season and this season alone was decided on by me, but in the future will be decided by you. It's the Speedy Spikes Award. And, of course, C.J. Abrams was going to win it. 3 consecutive awards would be won by C.J. if it had been done prior. 45 stolen bases, but might have been a down year for CJ, though. Everything else was a down year for Texas. So, a simple question. It's his last season before free agency, if he makes it there. $23.5 million. Is CJ Abrams worth it for what he produces? The Ricky. Second place is just fine. I don't know. All right. But anyway, CJ Abrams might be the most interesting of the you're only half getting. Yeah, I'm sure you want me to call it the Ricky. Anyway, the world champion Houston Astros, Yadier Alvarez. I'm so confused. I had a different... What the frick? I was so confused for a minute. Never mind. Gavin Lux, $8 million. Dalbert Siri, absolutely makes sense to give him $11.25 million. Is Seth Beer worth $6.25? No wonder why Ben's been trying to trade him. $6.25 million bucks. Patrick Bailey, though, is he worth $8 million? Probably not. But there he is. So again, Forrest Whitley has rejected the qualifying offer, which means if you put an offer in on Whitley, it will tell you you are at risk of losing a pick. So bid wisely, my friends. Bid wisely. That's it for the American League. Over to the National League. We had Wuhan Nie, Atlanta, Corey Ray for $5.25. $5.5. Don't see it. Ian Anderson, $12.5. Yeah. Jacques Landry. Landry had an injury-plagued season. Probably better than we've seen, but he's not hitting for power the way that we expect him to. $7 million bucks might be a little high. He might be listed as a relief pitcher, but don't look at the label. Look at the stats. He had 33 starts. So anyway, Miami. Dennis Santana, Michael Paez, Cody Bolton will not be offered arbitration. They become free agents. Also becoming free agents, you see Jimmy Lewis, Denny Reyes, Thomas Nido, Aramis Adaman, Andy Diaz, who did stick around. Daz Cameron will get $6 million. At $7 million, Landry is not welcome back to KC. You're crying. Onward to the Mets. Eric Carpenter, $1 million. I think that's fair. He's much better than he got there. I mean, the ratings, a lot of his stats were similar, just didn't get the wins. And again, if we don't pay attention to the wins and look at everything else, that serviceable player for $1 million bucks, I think that's a great deal. Wilfred Astudillo, nope, not really. Just my thoughts. Shervin Newton. I'm so confused. But anyway, Philly. They, wait a minute. Newton is staying. Newton is staying. He's not going anywhere. I'll have to manually edit that. The downside, though, is that it will be at the $7.7 million that he was estimated at. Yeah, when he got traded, his offer was blank. That's exactly it. So that is a mistake for doing trading when I did it. That's on me. Probably should have done the trading after the arbitration was completed. Lesson learned. Kamish, what are you?
You idiot.
Fair. All right. So I will adjust. Oh, shush. Freaking Siri. All right. So Shervin Newton isn't going anywhere. He is going to stay with Philly. But Simeon Woods Richardson, though, is not. He gonzo. Making a note on that. Fix Newton. Fix Naughton. Naughton. Yeah, and we'll have to fix Jose Garcia. Done. We'll fix them. Turner rejected the qualifying offer. He also was wrongfully offered a contract extension when the Nationals had already made their four. So Pirate doing what Pirate does best. Go! Francis Gruen and Isaac Paredes are sticking around, but Trey Turner rejects the qualifying offer and officially declares for free agency. Again, Jose Israel Garcia is staying in Montreal. We will fix that. Cubs, Daniel Cabrera, 1.4 million bucks. I think that's a pretty darn good deal. Ricky DeVito, Kyle Keller, Oscar De La Cruz, Alvin Guzman, and finally Nick Birdie. Nick Birdie, 6.25 million bucks. Wow. It's expensive. But it's the Cubs. Reds, no huge surprises. Blaze Jordan, though, at 1 million bucks for the type of home run production that he does. That's pretty darn good. Brewers, Bryce Terang. Is this a $15 million player? No. No. Just my 2 cents. Ronnie Mauricio. Is this a $6.5 million player? No. Cal Raleigh becomes a free agent. Just removed from 18 home runs a couple seasons ago. Pittsburgh, Santiago Flores, the burnt one. Still sporting the awful SPF photo. 1.74 million for him. James Karinchak, 2.2. Noah Bryant, Brandon Lowe, Jazz Chisholm is gone to free agency, as is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. St. Louis, Skylar Henderson already arbitration eligible. Damn, time flies. No huge surprises there. Tanner Burns, I think that's a fair number. Tony Sawyer, well, might be a little bit of a high number for Sawyer. Holy crap, are we already 3 seasons into Tony Sawyer's career? Time flies when we're having fun. Wow. Jason Dewey, 800,000. Wanda Paula. Wow. Wanda Paula is a free agent, gang. That's an interesting one. A former back-to-back 18-game winner. Gone to free agency. Huge surprise. That could be an interesting move. That could be a very interesting move. He wanted $19 million. Math in my head says if you think that what he's done over the last 3 seasons were capable of being done the next season, if you look at it and say it's just an aberration, I don't know. Just DePaula's been a stellar player long haul. And I feel that this particular season was more aberration than anything. I think it was more a case of, was he pitching under good conditions? Was he pitching happy? Was the team behind him happy? Were they affected? Everything was going wrong in Arizona this season. So, I don't know. That's one of those that's tough. And you said he wanted $19 million. Why couldn't you negotiate a smaller number? Just my 2 cents. But anyway. All right. So DePaula's a free agent. Alec Thomas is sticking around. Jared Southern is a heck of a bargain, though, at that price. Mitch Keller. Now, Mitch Keller doing... It depends on which Mitch Keller. Now, Tyler Glass now... I guess with him taking the qualifying offer, if he did what he did last season. Now, again, last season, This is a fair number. But does he do it? So again, for me, DePaula would have been aggressively negotiating downward and taken a chance and hoped that this prior 3 seasons, if you average it out, that's a shot. That's my particular approach on I would have decided it. But Glass now accepts the qualifying offer. He'll stay in Arizona, so I guess you weren't expecting that. Corbin Carroll, probably a good price. Rob Rasmussen, going to be given a bit of more of a closer's salary now. Nick Cale played well enough. I mean, I remember him being okay. 271 average. Didn't get a huge amount of at-bats. So, okay. Colorado, Gilbert Sanchez, Grant Levine. Levine was a 28 home run hitter last season, 16 the prior year. Still hitting a slugging percentage that was pretty good. I wonder what he wanted. But he'll be a free agent. Meanwhile, Colton Welker will get $7.5 million. Carlos Zuniaga, $3 million. Everyone else in the $1 million ranges. Dodgers, Darius D-Mac McKenzie, $11.875 million. Still a bargain. Still a bargain. We'll see if any extension talk will take place. But 47 home runs last season will get him his improvement to $11.875 million. I think the Dodgers can afford that. Just my 2 cents, but I think they can afford it. All right, so, but look at this. Judge Dozier at least had an arbitration value, so he's good. Let's see. It was Emmanuel Marte. Shamiliano with $3.25 million. Young Ha Kim. You'll be paying $6.875 million, Steve, for a Kim with a 6 ERA. Aaron Nixon for the Giants will get $6 million. RJ Frere, after a great 2026, fell off at the M. He's a Kim. It's all good. It's that Kim tax. Exactly. How will extension talk work with non-GM CCPs? By involving them. And if they decline, then you go by how Out of the Park works combined with the eMLB rules. Simple. Michael! Sean! Kane! $11.25 million? I think that's fair. Should be more. But now at 3 years, 0 days, we'll see if ink and paper will meet for an extension. But for now, $11.25 million for this season. Would not be shocked if we see an extension for Kane in the near future. Mark Maisonneuve, he's a community-credit player. He has fallen on hard times, seen his talent go south, and he is not even doing well at AAA. His major league days may be over. So there is arbitration in a nutshell. I will fix the 2 players that were not properly set up. All right. There are more deals to look at. I'm going to put you on a different screen for a moment. We're going to look at these together. Whoa. God damn it. F-U OOTP. All right. Then I don't have anything that I'm trying to hide from you. I'm going to show it to you right here. This was not the deal that I had in mind to share with you because deals vanished on me. I kid you not. It's blank. After this deal, there's nothing else. Miami looking to trade with Houston. Minor deal. Juan Gallardo is the only player who has a little bit of major league experience here so far. Teddy McMillan, 1.0 player. And David Bovin. See, if I turn this off, then you will not see this deal at all. It'll vanish. See? So you have to act as the team. So here's what I'm showing you. Hey, Noble. Good evening. We are looking at trades right now. A little bit of hot stove talk. So in this instance, I'm trying not to show proprietary info, but in this instance, in order to see the players, we're going to look at it from Miami's point of view. So, David Bovin, middle infielder, pretty versatile, has a little bit of outfield experience, wouldn't call him a specialist on it. Doesn't wow you on anything, but he also won't disappoint you on anything. At least that's how he grades out. He played rookie ball this past season. Can't switch to OSA scouting, Anju. Well, I can here, but it still won't help me much because I have to do it. Or actually, you make a good point. There we go. Yay. All right. I learned something new or just got reminded on what I can do. Thanks, Anju. All right, so Juan Gallardo. Yep, it's still on OSA scouting. There we go. All right, this works. We can do this. So Round Rock has was where Gallardo pitched. 13 saves, 2.36 ERA, predominantly a two-pitch pitcher. You do that for the podcast. All right, thank you. So again, Gallardo, I don't think he's a closer in the majors. He's going to be a capable pitcher. He throws hard, but like most hard guys, that's what she said, he struggles with control or finding the middle. So we'll see what he could do. I believe 4 years pro service. Why, yes, they do. So Gallardo, Teddy McMillan. That's what he was. Tex McMillan in the 1.0 universe, also with 4 years of service time. And I would say McMillan probably has a very long shot chance, much more of a lottery pick than Gallardo is. Yep, I would say that that's fair too. All right, so that trade is approved. Here's the problem, gang. Some of these deals chose to vanish on me. Literally. So I have to reduplicate them. So give me a moment. I'm going to pretend to be the teams. Oh, hold on. Apologies for the brief delay here. Again, out of the park, just removed trades that were pending, and it might be because of some moving parts here, so let's see. Let me just get things in place here. So many players. There he is. All right. That would work. I don't know why it's saying it did before. When I looked at it before, it said it would work. So let's show you this next deal. As you can see it, I just had to pull it up. Alex Kirilloff was going to be the player traded. So again, if this stays on OSA scouting. Kirilloff, now 29 years old, just turned 29, 33 home runs, 278 average, and outside of a small injury-plagued season last year, has been a high 290s, 300 hitter. Remember, 2023, 309 average, 44 homers, and 144 runs batted in. Maybe he's not capable of that level of production anymore, but still very competent. Predominantly just a right fielder, not an overly stellar right fielder, but going to San Francisco, that could probably fit pretty well next to Ethan Candela out in center field. I tried the $4 million, or did I? No, see, it's goofy. It should still be the $5 million you guys originally agreed upon. Math tells me this would work, so don't worry about that, what this says here. It didn't when I originally looked at it. It did not have any invalid trade notification. So from my point of view, it's a fine deal there. So what is Minnesota acquiring in this deal? It starts with Fly Freddie Wilson. Freddie Wilson, the diminutive 24-year-old who did play right field in prior to Kirilloff coming in. Again, not known for his power, but just a feisty type of player. 280 average, home run, 14 runs batted in, mostly in a cup of coffee. But he showed that he could hit pretty decent. He could hit 290, even if he could not hit home runs. And honestly, I think the home runs was probably more the park. So he might be a little bit more capable of hitting some home runs here at Le Target than he would at Oracle Park. But we'll definitely see. Meanwhile, Louis Morales, love him. Morales, the left-hander, throws hard. Fastball, slider, curveball. Does have a changeup, if you want to call it that. He's ranked 7th overall currently in eMLB. He's still a ways away. He's not going to be ready anytime soon because he absolutely needs to work on the control. But could Minnesota be bringing him aboard, send him to Winter League? Probably far from putting this guy on a 40-man roster. You don't want to start that clock or put the options clock in motion on him. You've got time. Remember, Rule 5 is not a risk until a player is 24 years of age. So unless a player is really on your radar to make the majors in the season you're in, and they're not 24 or older yet, you don't have to worry about them being a risk of being lost unless you trade him away. This is a guy, if he develops as expected, going to have electric stuff, pretty good movement, just has to learn to throw the dang ball over the plate. Meanwhile, Dave Rudolph is a 1.0 name and has the potential, again, OSA giving you their opinion and grade his offensive capabilities as prominent. He plays a bit of combination of first base as well as the corners. Nicknamed the Big Thunder, 6'6", 240-pound big man on the left side of the plate. Is this like the next coming of a Big Papi? A little bigger? Maybe, maybe not. But again, very likely that Rudolph will be a bit of a corner outfielder or possibly just a straight-up first baseman. Good talent, good potential. Also from the 1.0 era, Scott Morgan, another corner-type outfielder. Pretty good arm, but not great defense. But plus offensive skills and enough going to hurt you in regards to his fielding. If he can duplicate what he did at rookie ball, he hit 302 with a 576 slugging. Maybe 476 is fair from an eMLB Major League perspective for him. Not a bad player still. But apparently Minnesota likes him big because another 6'7", 225-pound hitter. Morgan, nice acquisition. Doesn't hurt when you bring in cash over. So I would say for what Kirillov's pedigree is, pretty darn good deal. I think this one is pretty straightforward. Yeah, I agree on trading Smith. I think Smith was traded a little too early. But, again, the sum of what parts are coming over had to add up. Commercial is coming. We'll be right back. It will be the last one of the evening. All right, coming back live for our final segment of tonight's Fluffy Kitty Ninjas show and the end of the 2026 off season officially, or getting into the 2028 off season. So here's the last deal, I think. If not, someone will let me know. Again, some deals got removed. White Sox and the Rays were looking to make this deal. Again, it says invalid trade right now. Earlier, when it was presented, it did not show as that. So again, I'm taking it, and the math is adding up that all is fine. So we're still permitting it. Okay, so there you go. Thank you, Hebrew. You are telling me there's another trade to talk about afterwards that does require injury override, so we'll talk about that one in a moment. Now, this one was a little bit of a challenge deal for me to decide, so I did engage the competition committee. It's the first time we haven't formed the competition committee for a long time yet, but in full fun and disclosure, if you don't know, we officially call them the Illumicati. We are Fluffy Kitty Ninjas after all, so you have to use a cat reference. But, yeah, so just wait until OOTP 33 when we have Robo-Ums catchers will be the new DH. Yes, possibly, very likely. So, yes, Denny Martinez. The same Denny Martinez who's won 12 games and had sub-3 ERAs in that time with WHIP. That is also the BABIP. The batting average of balls in play has been stellar the last 2 seasons. This is a guy with 363 innings of work for Chicago, 24-13, but it's the 2.7 and the 1.09 WHIP that are most impressive. So Martinez, of course, just turned 30. He's no spring chicken, but a late bloomer, not highly rated, but impressive. So we had some argument on whether or not this was a fair deal, as you see it. The big principle, of course, Austin Meadows. Meadows, 8 seasons in the majors, 218 home runs, 1,300 hits, and a 286 career average. The reason I questioned it, Meadows, 1 official season at $14 million, and right now, I want to say this impressive and set the precedent. To heck with any of your opinions on out of the park doing out of the park things. Because half of you will say, well, out of the park will 50-50 shot on the player option being kept. I can't look at it that way. As an objective individual who's supposed to act as a fiduciary, I have to look at it in an absolute. The absolute is, with his performance and his stats, you have to assume probability is he will not accept $15 million, knowing he could probably make more elsewhere. That just should be simple economics. Now, if he had a -1 WAR sign the last 2 seasons, then I'm more inclined to say the player option is going to be kept, and you have 2 years of Austin Meadows. It's very fair to assume Austin Meadows is a 1-year rental at this point for the White Sox. Very possible that they'll have to talk about extending him next offseason if they want to keep him. So before we talk about the other part of the Rays deal, let's look at the parts going over to Tampa in this deal, and you can tell me, is this worth 1 year of Austin Meadows, even if Tampa's keeping $3.5 million of salary? They are doing salary retention, 25%. Again, just assume this number, because this number's gone. Remember, as soon as I advance 1 more day, this number is gone, and this is all you'd see. This number is very unlikely to be a factor to Tampa, because again, don't care what you think about a sim engine, and it's just a game. But when it comes to would the player, based on what you see for a sample, accept, he can't say yes. He's not going to accept the player option. And don't argue with me about OOTP does stupid shit, because I don't care. I really don't care. And Daffy, don't you frickin' dare. So, what do they get besides Martinez? Dave Carrasco. Carrasco looks like a guy who's very likely to be a reliever. Obviously, 2-pitch pitcher. But he looks like he does it well enough, at least in the mid-levels. 24 saves. I don't see him as a closer. Of course, no one sees anybody as a closer if they have ratings at this level. Period. So, just my 2 cents. Sid Cook. Now, Cook is an interesting one. Cook, 4-pitch pitcher, fastball, curve, splitter, forkball. Nice mix. Throws hard. 24. Good control. Should be able to have a chance. Once took a minor league at bat wearing a dress too, so he's a pretty low-key, cool guy, so Tampa will benefit from that. But a guy who's pitched well, just maybe not long in the majors. I don't know. We'll see. But 24-year-old Cook looks like a nice acquisition. Juan Blanco might be a bit more on the flyer side, has some offensive credo, has some speed. Unorthodox for a first baseman. Not going to be known for his defensive capability, but hit 10 home runs in rookie ball this year. So, could be a possible plus. And Alfredo Figueroa, definitely a offensive-minded talent, good line drive type of hitter, uses speed to his advantage, 20 doubles in 62 at-bats in rookie level for the Dominican leagues this year. And probably a good left fielder. I would not consider him a stellar center fielder. Range is there, but the handiwork could use a little work, and the arm accuracy could use some improvement there. So, again, Figueroa probably will see major league time, probably more than Blanco could. Cook, Carrasco probably will see some time. And Denny Martinez might be the Alex Luger replacement without really having to go onto the free agent market and get anything further. It costs them Austin Meadows, which they can duplicate that. And it costs them a CCP. And this is why I wanted to kind of end in this neighborhood. So for those who don't know, Etsuko Run was also a PB'er and known as the Knuckleball Princess. I'm using past tense because Emmy Rune, who created Etsuko in PBE and then brought here, passed away from cancer about a year ago. And I can confirm this because Hummus God himself confirmed and validated this. And several memorials were done in honor of Emmy in her time and her loss of cancer. Mid-20s. So, and I remember the conversation when she said she was going to step out of the Discord. It was because of where her health was, and that just with the frequency of notifications, it was just overwhelming where she was emotionally. So, understood. Didn't take any personal. Hated hearing we're not even 3 months after that I had heard that she had passed. So, when I mentioned that Emmy had passed, it was decided within the CC to do a posthumous honoring of Boost one time. So, I'm glad it was brought up by someone other than me, because I'm trying to stay neutral on this. I'd kind of been wanting to do that, especially as you see what OSA looks at Rune as. The Knuckleball Princess doesn't look like has much of a career here. But the competition committee said, well, let's offer it. But before we offer it, we made sure Aiden knew that that was part of the deal. And we asked outright, do you still want to do this deal if you know that you're going to be able to have Rune be a little more improved? Now here's the contingent. I'm not letting anybody but me make the decision on where Rune will improve. I know I have the old conversation on what she had in mind. She wanted to have a two-way player. We're not investing anything on the offense here. This is strictly going to be a starting pitcher. That's at least where I draw the line, that I'm not going to invest on the hitting side that she might have had in mind in her life. So the only reason we're talking about this, and we've talked about her before when she passed, and a little bit of an honor for her on that day, but nothing big. We didn't do anything. We didn't reward, but we did, from the competition committee, it was brought up that let's consider that. I bounced it off of Aiden. Aiden made the decision that he's still going to do the deal. So Rune is going to go over to Chicago and have a small boost. Or again, 20 boosts, but 20 boosts in the lifetime of a player. You know, if a player has 10 years, that's 2 boosts. So it's not a big boost in the end. It will help the player be more serviceable, but it still doesn't guarantee that Rune, where they are, that the Knuckleball Princess will see the majors at all. But, and you hope that the game will boost in a positive way too. So, the bottom line, before we announced this deal, and before, that's part why all these trades didn't get done, because it took up some of the additional time. So Emmy's Garden is still in the PBE form, says Attica. So Rune will be boosted. We let Aiden know, so he had the right to say if he would keep the player or change the deal or back out on the deal with the material change, and he still decided to go forward with it. To be honest, if the boost had not been suggested, that's why I engaged the competition committee, because I was concerned on whether or not this was a fair value deal, because I'm looking at my point of view as the commissioner. I'm looking at Meadows as very likely to opt out of his player option based on his performance. Again, it's not an OOTP does stupid stuff conversation. It's not a random number generation determining if he stays or goes. It is, we're looking at the stats, we're looking at it if he had a human decision on it, and nobody who produces at a WAR of 3.8, 4.9, and 4.0 the last 3 seasons is going to say, yeah, I'll just take 15 million, I ain't going to get more. They are. So that's how we have to look at it. No, it was not the main reason for the discussion at all. But once Etsuko was going to be boosted, which again, Aiden nor Josh, Aiden nor Hedges were going to have no say on how Rune's boosted. This guy will do it based on what Emmy and I had discussed in past on how she wanted to improve the player. I will be the decision maker on the boosts. Yes, with 20 boosts, that's 60 points, the potential. Yes, I'm going to fully invest all of those into potential, and the rest will be done. Then the rest is up to out of the park, because at this time, we have not changed any precedent, nor do I want to at this point. I don't want to open a slippery slope, and frankly, any CCP adjustments, save for one, to be talked about soon. But GM CCPs, non-GM CCPs, let's put it to bed for a little while. So we'll leave it at that. But again, we're setting that precedent. We knew Emmy had passed for sure. We hate that she's not here anymore. And if giving a little mini boost gives us a way to be able to honor her or be able to tell her story posthumously a little bit more on what she had in mind for her Japanese creation, then let's embrace it and do it as best we can. That was the other thing too. She was located in Japan at the time she created the player. I'm not sure if she was still in Japan at the time of her passing or not. So this deal will be approved. And again, Etsuko Rune, most likely tomorrow, I will make the boost afterwards. And again, it will be my say. I will take no influence from anyone else. Yeah, it would be wonderful to see if she will have a career. Again, who knows? She's been around long enough so far. She got as high as A+ Charlotte. Again, everybody's AA, AAA right now for the changes we're doing to the file as we sterilize all of your minor leagues to have the same number size and also set up Montreal and Portland better. But 2-1, 3.19 ERA. So the potential's there. It just will be more likely to improve. Yeah, she chose submarine knuckleballer, and again, she wanted to make a two-way player, and she made the two-way player early enough before I had done the specials or the rules as you now know them to be. So there were no boosts that were invested. So that's why that's a tougher road for where Etsuko is at this point, at least as a starting pitcher. So there's more likelihood to see her improve here this way. Again, I don't expect a drastic, massive improvement. 20 boosts isn't going to make an 80-80 player at all. But it will definitely improve and give her the potential, hey, worst case scenario, she's a very unique type of reliever. But we might be able to give her the opportunity to be a starter now with those boosts. So I don't know if Josh knows it for sure, but I did make sure, Aiden, being the current owner of Etsuko's rights, that he knew of that. He asked a couple of questions right as I'm trying to go live, so it was apologies to Aiden that I was like stressed because 6 hours plus of eMLB already on top of the 2.5 hours that we're now on right now. Phew, there you go. Yeah, it sometimes it does take more to bump them up. You're not wrong there. So this deal is approved now as is. Again, I still am convinced this is not going to happen. So this is Meadows 1 year, a slightly boosted Etsuko Rune for a 12-year sub-3 ERA in his last 363 innings he's pitched. He's pitching at a 2.7 ERA. One of our CC guys said, that's a fluke. No. Might have good defense behind, but the good defense is going to continue in Tampa. Just the only difference, it'll be on the turf. So maybe a little bit of a drop back. But I would be shocked, honestly, would be shocked if Denny Martinez suddenly had an ERA 1.5, 2 runs higher. All of a sudden, just because of a change of scenery. Just my 2 cents. So, deal is approved. We have one more deal to look at. I'm going to hit the snooze button one more time. Let me bring it up. It vanished. This will be Philly. Both are AA players or in AA right now. There's one, Mike Beamer. And the other is with Houston. McGurd. So many players. There he is. So Isaac Rodriguez, he does have a broken bone in his elbow, but I have... Oh, that's right. It does that as soon as I change that. So, Mike Beamer for Isaac Rodriguez is the deal. It says he's injured longer than 7 days, but again, I have both sides saying they wish to have the deal done as it involves protecting players in the upcoming expansion draft. No, Ben, we're not there yet. We will be there in a second. So let's see what we get here. We're just talking about this deal. I am okay with approving this deal with OSA scouting ratings on. Rodriguez, a 24-year-old shortstop, a pretty solid shortstop. We'll say at least second tier in regards to his defensive capabilities. They also... good on the stealing, but not the fastest guy out there for stealing. Probably won't be the most mind-blowing offense you'll ever see. possible depth type of player. Don't know if we'll ever really see him in the majors. Meanwhile, for Mike Beamer, first baseman going to Houston, probably looks like Kevin Prue 2.0, doesn't he? A lot of power potential, has a little bit of ability to hit. Not the best defensive-minded guy, and a little bit of speed, but the profile here tells me it might be a replacement of Kevin Prue. That, I think, is officially the final deal that needed to be approved. Again, those deals, the reason why I had to do it the way that you just saw was because those deals suddenly vanished off of the radar, and I don't know if it was because of arbitration going through or not. Again, I have to fix Shervin Newton and Luis Jose Garcia. Those I will fix after we go offline. Let's get to the final day so that we're officially at free agency. This may take a couple moments. Have a beer. We forgot about the trade of Jandy to the Phillies. I'll get right on that as soon as San Francisco confirms that deal. All right. So let's see. Do we have any last minute news? Oh my God. It came over here, gang. 1 second. I'm trying to see if I see the word extension anywhere, and I'm looking really hard. That's what she said. Oh my God, gang. This is like pain. I'm just getting to the west. This list is so freaking long. Yeah, this is like pain trying to read through this right now this way. Excuse me. Into the National League West. I don't think I see... Oh, wait. We have one extension. And it's Adam Hill, who just got acquired from the Kansas City Royals. Let me go over to him. Where is he? There he is. Adam Hill. I've got to assume Josh did this. But that's the last signing that's taken place. And I feel like there would have only been one deal announced. Yeah, for the White Sox, one deal had been announced prior. So they had plenty of extension room. 2. Now that is weird. You see what I see? 2027, then an extension for 27-28. So I'm going to do it this way. Yes, you're not supposed to see this stuff normally. So I'm going to have to ban you all. I'm going to change this way, and this gets the same end result. Right? 27. It does not. Screw you guys, and going home. You're a crap hitter now. All right. I don't know. But either way, I'll make a note. Ion Hill. We'll see. We'll get it fixed either way. All right, this is what's most important. Oh, we wanted to look at submit protection lists. Anju, do I have your permission to use you for a moment? Customize. Pro years is at least 4 or more. Oh, you see Bearden, but I don't see your guy. If we go by name. So here's the only other thing I can think of. Only other thing I can think of. The time as a professional is 4 years, 184 days. That's technically supposed to be 5 years. One sec. Don't want you looking behind the screen. All I'm doing I'm going to see if this works. Nope, it does not. Well, hold on. Aha! You know what I changed? It says he's 4 years and 184 service days. I don't know why. All I did was change pro years to 5. Now here's the problem. It just added 1 more year. It didn't remove this. But he suddenly shows up. Why? I don't know. Hold on. I'm going to change this again. I'm going to put it back. So he's back the way that he was before. This is how he was before. And no, I don't have the time to manually fix everyone. So we'll choose St. Louis again. And see, he's gone. So let me try one more thing. Just out of craps and giggles. I'm going to change this to 3. Oh, wait, no. That allows me to change it, but I'm trying not to change it because it shouldn't need to be changed. No, I don't want to do that. So I don't want to do that. All right, so this is changed to 3, and he still doesn't freaking show. Doesn't OOTP how to math? The fook. I don't want to change this to 3 because it's going to wipe all your work out. Everyone else's work is going to show up. I feel like service time isn't going to change. So Bearden, good point. Bearden, 6 years, 184 service days. Well, it could change the effect, but I feel like people who aren't supposed to be on the list will then show up. This sucks, gang. Crap, a commercial's in progress too. One sec. All right, we're back live. Sorry about that. Didn't see the commercial was coming, so I took a quick break as soon as I realized it. Wasn't planning to have one more commercial, but it is what it is because we are dragging out here. So here's Hank Bearden, shows with more time, so that's why he doesn't show. So I have 2 theories. I have 2 possible theories. Theory number 1. We advance one more day, which gets us officially to the expansion draft. People will submit their protection lists. And then once I import that and resend you the new file, everyone's list will be there, and then we'll know who's what. So theory number 1 is we advance the day, and maybe this effing thing finally figures out, oh, 4 years, 184 days means eligible. I don't know. It says with less than pro service years, right? Yeah. This is set up the way we intended. 25 protected players. Auto protect players with less than 4. Less means 3 years and 171 service days, technically. So theory number 1, I advance a day, and it fixes itself. Theory number 2, Out of the Park does stupid shit, and it happens again.
Watch your language, bud. We're on the air.
At this point, this is my confidence level on Out of the Park doing what's intended. So tons of guys with 4 years show up. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it as is, and I'm going to send this file out to you as presented. Officially on free agency, you can officially begin doing your file. But let me ask this for the moment. Hold off. Let me sleep on this and let me think about if whether or not it makes sense to advance the day and then have you all send files. Again, 1 day of free agency isn't going to hurt anybody. It really isn't. No one's going to sign on day 1. You can see what they're asking for too, by the way. No one's getting a file tonight. I'm going to have to get up early and edit. I have to look at this closely and see what else this thing fucked up. But right now, I am less than happy. Because I'm now 9 hours, that's more than 1/3 of a day for those of you keeping score at home, working on this effing thing, and it decides to sabotage. Not happy at all. All right. No file for anyone tonight. I got a little extra work to do. We'll try to figure this out. If anybody has expansion draft experience and can explain to me why we're not seeing the proper people on the protection list, that'll help. Because at this point, we're going to have to effing do this manually. And it's just ridiculous. Un-effing believable. All right. I'm walking away because it's the right thing to do. I'm going to go right over to DA. He's doing Minnesota Twins franchise stuff. Back to Litterbox I'm going because I'm going to get pissed otherwise. I will fight Fluffy Kitty Ninjas tonight, and I will take one of their heads off. Alright. Everything else, work in progress. That's best I can do. I'm walking away before you see me absolutely go on a tirade. We'll see you guys.
Dirty Turkish Arkabat, flat, Morton, Philip, Martin, Perkaluma, Waka, Frax, Lock, Wagon, Slaughtered, Bat, Coronet, Carabat, Rackalava.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 Watch your language, bud. We're on the air.
Waka,